This video is going to show you how to make Polish meatballs for Meatballs and Linguine. So first we have 10 pounds of ground chuck hamburger, 1 pound of plain sausage, no seasoning in it. Need an aluminum pan to put them in. Need 2 eggs, 1/4 of a cup of Heinz ketchup, cup of breadcrumbs, salt and pepper to taste, 1/2 cup of green peppers, 2 tablespoons of dried onions. I already have them soaking in hot water, 2 tablespoons of parsley, and 1/2 cup of Parmesan cheese. And we mix all that together in the bowl, and then we make it into meatballs to cook at 365 for 50 minutes. So far we've put the eggs and the green peppers in. Now we will put the parsley in. The dried onions that was soaking in hot water and all. You just soak them in water up to where the water just covers them. And then we put in water and all, Parmesan cheese, your breadcrumbs, and your Heinz ketchup. I just squirted in, but 1/4 of a cup. Then we just mix that in all together with your ground chuck and your plain ground sausage. Once you get all the ingredients mixed together by hand, you start rolling them into little meatballs. You just take some of the meat, roll it into a ball, stick it in the pan. Just keep doing that until the pan is full. Once you get all your meatballs made, it should look like this in the pan. I also use the same meat recipe to make meatloaf, and all you do is put 2 big squares of the meat in meatloaf pans. Make sure that there's room enough for the grease to be in there, so you fill it about that full, and then you bake them along with your meatballs at 365 for 50 minutes. And I also cover them with aluminum foil so the tops of them don't get burnt and they cook all the way through nice and soft. In the previous video I showed you how to make Polish meatballs. Now what we're going to do is put the Polish meatballs in beef linguine. So what you need is 2 bags of linguine noodles. I use 8 cans of just beef gravy and 4 cups of water. I put the gravy and the 4 cups of water in a saucepan, put it on medium heat, let it cook slowly, warm up, and we have our 4 quarts of water to boil the linguine. As soon as it starts boiling good, we're going to put the linguine in for 12 minutes until it's soft. Once the water comes to a boil, we start putting in our linguine noodles. And what I do to make it easier to eat, I break the noodles in half so you're not chasing the noodles around your plate with a fork trying to wrap them up to eat them. You just break the noodles right in half, put them in the water, that way it's easier to eat later. You will boil this for 12 minutes. The noodles have been boiling about 5 minutes. You need to boil them about 12 minutes till they're soft. And the gravy's in here, warming up on medium heat now. So once the noodles are done, we'll strain them in a strainer and then put them in the gravy. And the meatballs are in the oven cooking. And we will add everything together to make Meatballs and Linguine, Polish style. Once the noodles have boiled for 12 minutes, we turn the heat off and we'll take it over to the sink to strain. I got my strainer in the sink. Turn on cold water because you don't want that scalding hot water to go down your sink. Might ruin your pipes. So once you get that water running, take the pot, strain all the noodles, get all the extra ones out of there. Then I'm going to put it in a giant pot that I have. So I have plenty of room for mixing, because after we put the noodles in, we're going to put the gravy on top of it and the meatballs. The meatballs have about 5 more minutes to cook in the oven. And I showed you that recipe for Polish meatballs in a previous video. So once we get the spaghetti in the pot, we're going to take the gravy and put it in. The gravy over here. Just going to take it, move it over this way a little bit, turn that burner off too. We're just going to ladle the gravy in. Since our pot is pretty full, we don't want to spill it all over the stove. And just start putting the gravy in like that. Get the noodles all nice and wet with gravy. Then we'll stir it in. And just keep adding gravy and stirring it in. I just took the meatballs out of the oven. So we're going to strain them right into our noodle and gravy mixture. So I have one of these nice little hand strainers. Just going to strain all the grease off like that. And just throw them right in. Just take them, strain them. You don't want all that grease in there. And then put them in the pot. Again, these meatballs cooked at 365 for 45 to 50 minutes. My recipe for these is the Polish meatball recipe that's in a previous video. You can use these meatballs in linguine and gravy like I'm making right now, or you can use them in spaghetti and meatballs. Just keep doing that till they're all strained and in the pot with the noodles. Once you get all the meatballs into your noodles and gravy, you just stir it all together. I put a little bit of salt, about a teaspoon, and pepper. It's to taste. Just put a little bit of each in. And stir everything up. And enjoy. Please like and subscribe to my channel. I hope you liked Polish meatballs and linguine. While we were making our meatballs, I made some of the meat into meatloafs. So they're done now. You just take it out with a large spatula, put it on a platter to get it out of the grease from cooking. Drain all the grease off of it, put it on a nice platter, and you're ready to make sandwiches with your meatloaf.